Imagine yourself waking just before sunrise. Your home is a thatched roof cottage in a small village miles from the city of Edo. The walls are thin, woven from bamboo and mud, the floors hard-packed earth. The air is cool and damp. A breeze slips through the shoji screen, carrying with it the faint scent of wood smoke from a neighbor's hearth. You are not a samurai, nor a merchant, nor a poet. You are one of the hyakusho, a farmer, a villager, a commoner. You rise not by choice, but because you must. There is rice to tend to, and your Lord expects his share, always his share, no matter the harvest. You bow toward the household shrine as a matter of routine, not because you are devout, but because it is what one does. You light no candle. The rising light of dawn will do. Breakfast is humble. A bowl of plain rice if you are lucky. If the harvest was poor last year, perhaps millet instead, coarse and bitter. There may be pickled vegetables, preserved in brine weeks ago. There is no meat, no sweets, and no coffee to wake you. Only water, cool and clear from the village well. Outside, the paths are narrow, muddy from last night's rain. The sandals on your feet are straw, hand-woven and worn thin. They will last another week, perhaps. You walk with care. Slipping is undignified. Work begins in the paddies. Your back is bent, your legs submerged in thick mud, the cold water clinging to your skin. The sun rises slowly, gently warming your shoulders. There is no machinery, just your hands, a wooden hoe, and time. Always time. Around you, others work in silence. Conversation is kept to a minimum. The headman might pass by, inspecting. If your work is judged poor, you'll hear of it later. Not with anger, but with a kind of polite, crushing firmness. You sweat through your kimono, but changing clothes would be wasteful. You have few spares. By midday, you return briefly home. A short rest. A second meal. Perhaps more rice, or miso soup if there is time to boil water. The flavor is thin. Salt is expensive, then back to the fields. Your lord, a daimyo, lives far away. You may never see him, but his taxes arrive regularly. Nearly half your harvest is claimed. You sign your name, or rather, press your seal, to the record, then bow. Always bow. Your shoulders ache from it more than from labor. There is no rebellion here. That would bring punishment to your family, your neighbors, your entire village. Better to bow. Better to endure. As the sun lowers, shadows stretch across the paddies. Birds return to the trees. You clean your hands in a wooden basin. Brush the mud from your legs with a straw brush. Back home, your children await quietly. They speak only when spoken to. Your wife prepares a simple stew from daikon and greens. There is no meat. You eat seated on a tatami mat, kneeling. Your knees hurt, but standing would be rude. You eat slowly, with wooden chopsticks, then wipe them clean and tuck them away. They will be used again tomorrow, and the next day. The evening is quiet. No music, no theater. A candle burns low in the alcove, casting long shadows across the wall. You listen to the wind pass through the pine trees outside. You wonder if the harvest will be better next season. You do not speak this thought aloud. Before bed you bow once more, this time to the ancestors. And then, sleep. Your mat is thin. The night air is cold. You tuck your hands beneath your sleeves for warmth. Tomorrow you will rise again. The rhythm of your life is simple, repetitive, unchanging. You have no wealth, no voice, but you survive. And that is everything. The sun rises over snowy rooftops in Edo. The winter of 1703 has been particularly cold. Each breath forms a white cloud, and the wooden beams of samurai homes groan softly in the icy morning stillness. You are now among samurai, but not just any. These are ronin, masterless warriors, men whose lords are dead, who live with a quiet ache beneath their armor, bound more by memory than duty. Among them are 47. They walk in silence, heads bowed, swords hidden beneath civilian robes. They have waited nearly 2 years for this day. Tonight they will strike. But this is not a tale of revenge as you might know it, not a dramatic ambush or a tale of blood-soaked vengeance. This is a tale of deliberation, of patience, of ritualized defiance. This is the story of the Akko incident, known today as the tale of the 47 Ronin. And to understand it fully, we must return to its beginning. The offense. It begins not with war, but with manners. In the year 1701, Lord Asano Naganori, daimyo of the Akko domain, is summoned to Edo Castle, the shogun's seat of power. His duty is ceremonial, to host visiting envoys from the imperial court in Kyoto. To perform this task, he is expected to observe a dizzying array of court etiquette, bowing at precise angles, speaking in stylized language, preparing gifts wrapped in silk, walking exactly 7 steps behind the right person. To assist him, the shogunate assigns a powerful official, Kira Yoshinaka. Kira, by all accounts, was a man of wealth and pride. It is said, though scholars debate this, that he expected gifts, bribes even, in exchange for his cooperation. Asano, a stern and principled man, refused. Kira insulted him publicly. Subtly at first, dismissive glances, cold words, but then more directly, humiliating him in front of others. He is said to have called Asano a country samurai, a slight that cut deeply. One day, in the palace corridor, Asano could bear no more. He drew his sword. It was a violation of the highest order. Drawing a weapon within Edo Castle was strictly forbidden, under any circumstance. Kira was only wounded. Asano was sentenced to seppuku, ritual suicide, that same day. His lands were confiscated. His family was stripped of rank. His retainers became ronin, masterless, dishonored. The long silence. The samurai who served Asano were now scattered. Some returned to their home province, others stayed quietly in Edo. But one man, Oishi Kuranosuke, Asano's chief retainer, remained. He grieved, but he did not act. Not yet. Instead, he waited. The law was clear. Vengeance was forbidden. The shogunate had ruled. To retaliate would be rebellion. So Oishi changed himself. He divorced his wife, sent his children away. He moved to Kyoto and began to feign disinterest in justice. He was seen drinking in taverns, frequenting geisha houses, stumbling through the streets at night. The spies of Kira saw a broken man. They reported, "He is disgraced. He is no threat." But it was a mask, a performance worthy of the No stage. In secret, Oishi stayed in contact with the other ronin. One by one, they reassembled. Not with rage, with plans. They gathered weapons, drew maps of Kira's mansion, waited for the guards to relax. It took them nearly 2 years. The night of vengeance, January 30th, 1703. A quiet night. Kira's mansion was quiet too. Light snow fell. The lanterns burned low. The ronin struck with precision. They did not attack randomly. They secured the perimeter. They protected women and children. They confronted Kira's guards, overwhelming them with discipline, not fury. And when they found Kira, hiding, it said, in a shed, they did not kill him immediately. They offered him a chance to die with honor, to perform seppuku. He refused, or could not. So they executed him, with respect. They washed the head, wrapped it in cloth, and marched, calmly, silently, across the city, to lay it upon their master's grave. Judgment and the edge of the law, the public was divided. Some saw them as criminals. Others called them heroes. The ideal of Bushido, the samurai code, had been preserved, but at the cost of defying the shogunate's authority. The Bakufu deliberated for weeks. In the end, they issued a compromise. The ronin would not be executed as common criminals. They would be allowed to die as samurai. One by one, in a quiet courtyard, each man performed seppuku. No rebellion, no protest, just bows, blades, and silence. What remained their story spread quickly. It was copied by scribes, retold in plays, painted on scrolls. But there was a tension in how the tale was told. Were they models of loyalty, or reminders of the danger of personal justice? The government banned theatrical retellings at first, but they spread anyway. Over time, the 47 Ronin became symbols, not of violence, but of quiet, enduring loyalty. Even now, in Tokyo's Sengakuji Temple, their graves remain, and every year, visitors still come. They bow. They leave incense. They whisper thanks. And for a moment, in the cold morning air, they remember what it means to serve, even when the world says not to. As night settles over Edo, a different world quietly awakens. Behind closed gates and flickering lanterns lies Yoshiwara, the heart of the floating world, a place built not for permanence, but for beauty, escape, and momentary joy. Here, courtesans like the Oiran are more than companions. They are trained artists, masters of poetry, music, and elegance. Time with them is ritualized, deliberate, and distant, like a dream behind silk. Woodblock artists captured this world in prints called ukiyo-e, snapshots of dancers, twilight streets, and ephemeral love. These were cheap, beautiful, and never meant to last. In theaters, actors played women with precision and grace. Viewers applauded not for realism but for how gently the illusion was held. The floating world faded in time, but that was always its nature. A moment, a breath, a dream. Gone softly, like the glow of a lantern at dawn. The sun rises quietly over a tiled roof. A soft wind rustles the bamboo just beyond the garden wall. Inside the house, nothing stirs loudly. This is not a place of shouting or haste. You are inside a samurai household, a home where precision, silence, and duty define every waking hour. The walls are made of paper and wood. The floors are tatami, soft but firm beneath the feet. Every object has its place. Every action, a meaning. As the master of this house, your day begins with ritual. You kneel before the household shrine, light a thin stick of incense, and bow. Once for the gods, once for your ancestors, and once to remind yourself who you are supposed to be. Your breakfast is simple: rice, miso soup, and a few pickled vegetables. You speak little. The clink of porcelain is the loudest sound in the room. Then comes the care of your katana. You draw it gently, not to fight, but to clean. The oil must be reapplied, the blade inspected. You will not use it today, but it must be honored nonetheless. The sword is not a weapon. It is your soul, a life of ceremony. Unlike the romantic image of warriors on horseback, your life as a samurai is mostly bureaucratic. You manage land records, oversee local disputes, and teach younger retainers the code of Bushido. You bow, you write, you recite, and always you remain calm. Your wife manages the home. She does not speak unless needed, but her influence is quiet and constant. Organizing meals, arranging seasonal displays in the tokonoma, and ensuring the household moves as one, like a well-folded fan. Children train in the courtyard, boys with wooden swords, girls with calligraphy brushes. Both learn patience. Both learn silence. Honor is not loud here. It is measured, folded, served in small portions. The night returns. Evenings may include tea with guests. Not casual chatter, but ritual. Every movement during the tea ceremony is choreographed. The host bows. The guests reply. The tea is whisked with grace, served without flair. No moment is wasted. No gesture is without purpose. When guests depart, the candles are extinguished. The home falls quiet again. You return to your room. You place your sword beside your sleeping mat. Not because you expect violence, but because it belongs there, always at your side. You bow once more to the shrine, then sleep. The house does not dream wildly. It rests with discipline, and so do you. The streets of Edo are quiet tonight. The lanterns sway gently in the wind. Somewhere a gate creaks shut and a bell rings 3 times in the distance. You are not in a tea house. You are not kneeling before a scroll. You are in Kodenma-cho, Edo's most well-known prison district. And you are not a guest. You are an inmate. A cell with no comfort. Edo prisons were not designed for long-term incarceration. Punishment in this era focused more on shaming, labor, or public discipline. And yet, when people were held before trial, confession, or sentence, they waited here. You are in a shared cell, a small windowless room with thick wooden walls. The air is damp, the floor is dirt. The only light comes from a thin slit near the ceiling. There is no bedding, just your own kimono, worn and damp from days without change. Around you, men and women sleep sitting upright. There is no privacy. You are not told how long you will be here. You try to sleep, but the cold is constant. The noises, soft coughs, shifting feet, the murmur of prayers, echo in your ears. Food and silence. Each morning, a guard slides a small wooden tray into the cell. A scoop of rice, a bit of miso. Sometimes nothing at all. There is no conversation. Prisoners are not supposed to speak unless spoken to. Some days you are questioned. Not with violence usually, but with repetition. The magistrates want clarity. Names, dates, admissions. If you are innocent, you must prove it. If guilty, you are expected to confess. Even silence may be taken as admission. Labor and shame. Prisoners may be sent out to work, hauling wood, cleaning gutters, sweeping temple grounds under guard. You are barefoot, roped at the waist, with a placard hanging from your neck. It reads your crime, sometimes true, sometimes not. People pass by. They do not look at you. Or worse, they do. Children point, elders murmur, merchants give you wide berth. You are seen, but no longer regarded. You are not dangerous. You are disgraced. The system of justice, Edo's legal system, is intricate, based on class, confession, and precedent. A samurai might be allowed to commit seppuku. A merchant might face public shaming. A peasant might be beaten, exiled, or tattooed with a symbol of crime. Confession is valued above all. Without it, even truth may not help you. Some prisons include devices, pillories, shackles, stretching posts, not for punishment, but for persuasion. But most punishment happens outside. Once judgment is passed, your fate will not be long imprisonment. It will be display. Endings, public and private. You may be paraded through the street, or tied to a post at a crossroads, or exiled from your province, forced to walk the roads with no name, no papers, and no protection. If your crime is severe, your execution may be staged for public viewing, not as spectacle, but as deterrence. In rare cases, if you are of high status, you may write a final poem and die by your own hand. But most prisoners like you will simply be forgotten. No name carved, no record saved. You will fade into the dark corners of a wooden cell, like incense smoke against stone. And yet, the city carries on. Just outside these prison walls, the same rituals unfold. The same tea is poured. The same sandals pass by your gate. You listen, but you are no longer part of that world. Your time in Edo has become still. And from within that stillness, strangely, sleep comes. Not peaceful, but quiet. The market stalls are quiet before dawn. Canvas covers flap gently in the wind. Crates of lacquered bowls, woven cloth, and dried fish sit waiting, ready to be opened and admired. Somewhere nearby, a rooster calls. Though this is not the countryside, this is Edo, and you are a merchant. You live in a world of rice paper walls and wooden ledgers. Your fingers smell of ink and silk. You are not rich by class, but in coin, you often surpass the very warriors who look down on you, and yet you cannot show it, not openly, not ever, because in Edo, Japan, the merchant is both essential and unwanted. A life beneath status. Your home is modest from the outside. It must be. A two-story building is forbidden for your class. If the second floor is needed for storage, the front must be designed to conceal it. You wake early before the shop opens and kneel beside your ledger, flipping through yesterday's records. The rice seller from Kuramai, the thread maker's purchase, a samurai's quiet debt. Your wife serves you barley tea. Your child sleeps in the corner room, unaware that the fortune that feeds them must remain invisible. Wealth brings attention, and attention brings trouble. Trade and caution. As a merchant, you walk a delicate line. You may sell to samurai, but must bow lower than they do. You may profit from your skill, but must never flaunt it. You may buy land through intermediaries, but never claim it openly. Still, your day is filled with movement. You attend the market, arranging your goods with care. You speak politely, with deference, even when cheated. You exchange coin with a soft smile, always speaking in the lowest register possible. And yet, you are everywhere. Your goods line the kitchens of the elite. Your silks adorn kabuki actors. Your paper fans flutter in the hands of courtesans. You are the quiet lifeblood of the city, but never the voice. Wealth behind a curtain. True, wealth is kept tucked away, not in chests but in favors. You lend money to samurai families who've fallen into quiet debt. You sponsor small shrines, donate lanterns to temples, always anonymously. You pay to have roads repaired, bridges mended, walls rebuilt, never claiming the credit. This is not generosity. It is strategy, because what you cannot display, you must embed into the community. There are no portraits of you, no statues, no titles, but everyone knows your name, quietly. The art of adaptation. At night, by candlelight, you copy Chinese poems into a notebook, not because you seek art, but because you must appear cultured to survive among the upper class. Your children are taught to speak humbly, to bow lower than necessary. You tell them never to wear bright colors, never to boast, never to speak unless spoken to. When samurai visit, you serve them tea while seated on the floor. You apologize for your success before they've spoken. You compliment their family name before your own. You never forget. Your fortune lives on the edge of tolerance. The invisible ladder. Over time, your shop becomes well known, not just for goods, but for quiet reliability. You begin to buy goods wholesale. You invest in shipping. You hire apprentices who sweep the floor, listen carefully, and speak even less than you do. But still, you remain a merchant. Your children may never hold official titles. Your name will not appear in history scrolls. When people ask about you, they will say, "Oh yes, the one with the good tea. A respectable man, humble." And in this world, that is the highest praise you can hope for. You retire to your small, dark room. You tuck away the day's profits into a drawer hidden beneath the floorboards. You listen to the sound of the street growing still. The same street your shop faces. The same street that never quite belongs to you. But you endure, and that is your legacy. Unseen, but lasting. It is still dark when the bell rings. A low, resonant tone cuts through the silence of the temple, vibrating gently in the bones. Outside, the ground is cold with morning dew. The lanterns have long since burned out. You are now a monk, living in a Zen temple deep in the mountains near Kyoto. You rise with the bell, not in resistance, not in thought, but simply because it is time. There is no clock here, no alarms, only rhythm. and rhythm is everything. The day begins in stillness. You dress in silence, wrapping yourself in a coarse robe of muted gray. You bow, briefly, to the folded bedding. Then again, as you exit the room. Every gesture is meant to remind you that nothing belongs to you, not even the floor beneath your feet. Your first task: sweeping. Not because the courtyard is dirty, but because sweeping the leaves is a form of meditation. The broom moves slowly, back and forth. You follow your breath. You do not chase thoughts. You do not try to empty the mind. You simply sweep. Others do the same, silently, side by side. A garden of motion, without speech. The meal of gratitude. After morning zazen, sitting meditation, you gather for the first meal. There is no conversation. The food is humble. Rice, pickles, miso broth. You eat slowly, reverently, using 3 bowls passed down from those before you. The ritual is precise. You hold the bowls a certain way. You bow to them before and after. You eat everything. Nothing is wasted. Not even the rinse water, which you drink to finish the meal. Each act is part of the path. Not spiritual as in mystical, but spiritual as in awake. Study and work. The morning is divided into quiet study and manual labor. You may spend hours copying sutras with a brush, each stroke slow and intentional, ink pooling on rice paper, or tending the vegetable garden, pulling weeds, planting turnips, or cleaning the stone path between the gate and the bell tower. There is no task too small. Every action is part of the practice. The work is never rushed. There is no finish line, only presence. The ritual. Bell. At midday, a bell rings to mark the turning of time. Not a loud chime, but a low, rounded note that floats gently through the air. You stop. You bow. You breathe. It is not a signal to do something. It is a reminder that time is passing, and you are alive in it. The absence of self. There is no mirror in your room. No personal belongings beyond a robe, a bowl, and perhaps a small wooden mala, prayer beads worn smooth with use. You are not supposed to think of yourself as you. Names are used sparingly. Titles are ignored. Even identity becomes distant. You are not trying to be good or wise or even peaceful. You are simply trying to be nothing, and in that, perhaps, to find everything. Evening shadows. As dusk settles over the temple, the shadows stretch long across the raked gravel courtyard. You may attend a Dharma talk, quiet, slow, thoughtful. The senior monk speaks softly. His words drift in the room like incense, meant not to stir the mind, but to settle it. Afterward, you return to your chamber. You bow, you kneel, you fold the bedding just as it was before. There is no music, no stories, no closing entertainment, just breath and sleep, and the certainty that tomorrow will be exactly the same, and in that sameness, a kind of quiet freedom. The shrine is small, nestled at the edge of a wooded path just beyond a rice field that bends gently in the wind. Its torii gate, painted in fading vermilion, marks a boundary not between land and sky, but between the everyday and the quiet sacred. You are the Kannushi, the shrine's caretaker, priest, and quiet witness to time. Yours is not a dramatic life. There are no sermons, no bold teachings, only the gentle rhythm of seasons, of offerings, of wind, rice paper, and pine. Autumn, smoke and sweeping. As autumn arrives, the shrine grounds are littered with golden leaves. You rise before sunrise, sweeping the steps with a wide broom made from reeds tied with twine. You do not sweep for cleanliness alone. You sweep for purification. To prepare the way, not for people but for kami, the unseen spirits that dwell in trees, stones, wind, and fire. You tend the sacred sakaki branches, trimming them so their leaves curl just slightly at the edges. Visitors come to offer thanks for the harvest. They bring rice, coins, sake, or persimmons. You accept them with a bow and place them upon the altar, where the offerings sit in silence. There are no chants, only the sound of wind in the trees and the faint tinkle of a wind chime hung near the bell. Winter, stillness, and paper. In winter, snow gathers on the torii gate and melts slowly on the mossy roof. Your breath clouds the air as you prepare small shide, zigzag-shaped paper strips tied to ropes called shimenawa. You hang them carefully, without rush. They are not decorations. They are boundaries, reminders of where the sacred begins. You dress in a simple white robe, layered beneath a blue outer garment, and you light a small fire in the ritual hearth. At New Year, the shrine is filled with visitors. Some bring laughter, some solemnity, some just curiosity. You watch from a distance as they bow twice, clap twice, and bow again. You do not speak unless asked. You ring the bell, slowly, not to wake the gods. Shinto gods are not sleeping, but to greet them, gently. Spring, blossoms and renewal. With spring come cherry blossoms. You do not celebrate them loudly. You simply notice. Each morning, you pour fresh water into the stone basin near the gate. You trim the offering trays. You walk the grounds slowly, picking up fallen twigs and brushing petals from the altar steps. You help villagers write their wishes on ieme, wooden plaques hung beneath the eaves. Each one carries quiet hopes, a safe birth, a good harvest, a passing score, peace for a departed soul. You do not judge the wishes. You simply hang them, and in doing so, you turn desire into prayer. Summer, fire and festival. Summer brings more color. Lanterns are hung. The air smells of charcoal and incense. At the shrine's summer festival, children in yukata giggle behind masks, and drums thump softly in the distance. You carry the mikoshi, the portable shrine, through the streets, not to show power, but to remind the town that the kami are present, not above, not beyond, but here. You help coordinate rituals, receive guests, clean up afterward when the music fades. At night, when the lanterns are taken down and the laughter is drifted home, you sit alone on the steps. The crickets chirp. A small fox crosses the path, pausing beneath the torii, then disappearing into the woods. You say nothing. Some things do not require ceremony. A year of presence. The life of a shrine keeper is not a life of control. You do not preach. You do not interfere. You observe. You maintain. You honor. Your hands grow rough from tying ropes, from raking gravel, from lifting wooden doors that swell with rain. But your presence is steady. And when no one is watching, you sit on the wooden platform, legs folded beneath you, and listen to the rain fall on the trees. You do not chase enlightenment. You do not seek reward. You are simply part of the shrine, and, like the paper strips that flutter in the wind, you move, but do not fall. The sun has only just begun to rise. Mist clings to the narrow road winding between rice paddies and hills, and your breath forms small clouds in the morning air. A wooden staff rests in your hand. A conical straw hat shields your face from the pale light above. You are a pilgrim now, just one of many. You walk not as a warrior, nor a monk, nor a merchant. You walk because you must, because the act of walking is the prayer. The path is the practice pilgrimage in Edo, Japan, was both a spiritual duty and a rare form of permitted travel. The government tightly controlled movement. Travel permits were required, but religious journeys, especially to sacred sites like Ise, Kumano, or the Shikoku 88 Temple Circuit, were allowed. For many, it was their only chance to leave their hometown. You walk with a small bundle, tied tightly to your back. A few coins, dried rice, maybe a spare pair of sandals. Your robe is white, the color of purity and of death. It's said that many pilgrims walked as if they might not return. and many didn't. A landscape of quiet challenges. The path winds through mountains, across rivers, through villages both bustling and still. In the forests you hear only birdsong, water trickling over stones, and the thump of your staff on the ground. Sometimes a shrine appears around a bend, small, unmanned, adorned with weathered offerings and fluttering shied paper. You bow, you clap twice, you bow again. You do not speak. The road is long, and speaking uses breath better saved for climbing. Shelter and simplicity. At night, you sleep in huts built for pilgrims, or in the corners of village temples. Sometimes kind farmers offer rice balls and warm broth. You always bow in gratitude, hands pressed together, never making assumptions. There is no bed, just a straw mat and perhaps a wooden pillow if you're lucky. Your feet ache. Blisters rise and break. Your robe gathers dust and the scent of pine. But you do not complain. This, too, is part of the offering. The inner journey. Though the journey is physical, much of the pilgrimage is internal. You repeat mantras softly. You count beads. You recite sutras, not for others to hear, but to align your breath with thought. Many pilgrims undertake the journey to seek forgiveness, for a wrong, for a loss, for a past they cannot escape. Some walk for ancestors, some for children they lost, some for reasons they cannot name, only feel. And so they walk, step after step, breath after breath, circles that do not close. Some pilgrimage routes form loops. In Shikoku, the 88 temple route covers over 1,200 kilometers. Pilgrims, called Henro, may take months to complete it. When they return to the starting point, they are changed, though they look the same. It is said that the Buddhist monk Kukai, founder of the route, walks beside every pilgrim, invisibly, silently. Some pilgrims say they feel his presence, others say nothing at all. They bow, they breathe, and they continue walking. The journey ends, or doesn't. When the journey is over, you return home. You hang your robe in a quiet corner. You place your walking staff behind the shrine. You wash your feet with warm water, the first real comfort in weeks. And then, you return to your ordinary life. But something is quieter now. The sounds of the village do not move you the same way. The routine of work feels slower. The taste of rice, somehow, sweeter. You do not tell stories of your journey. You do not boast. You simply bow more deeply, speak more softly, and wait for the day when your feet will carry you once again toward the horizon. You live on the edge of the town, past the shrines, beyond the gardens, farther still than the farmers' paddies. There, near the river's bend or the foot of a wooded hill, is a cluster of small homes. Quiet, clean, plain. But to the people in the city above, this is not quite a village, and you are not quite part of them. You are part of a community known as the Buraku, and your life is lived in the shadow of necessity. The work no one else will do. You are a tanner, or a gravedigger, or perhaps you dispose of animal carcasses left along the roadside. You craft leather. You build drums. You sharpen knives. You clean up after death. These tasks are not illegal. They are not wrong. But in the social order of Edo, Japan, they are considered unclean. So while others benefit from your work, wearing your leather, playing your drums, walking past cemeteries kept tidy, they do not look at you. Not fully. You are part of the ETA, a term meaning much filth. A label, not a role. A hierarchy that never acknowledges you. In the formal class system of Edo, Japan, samurai, farmers, artisans, merchants, there is no place for you, not officially. You are outside the system. A walking silence. You cannot enter certain shrines. You cannot sit beside others at a tea house. You cannot marry outside your caste. If a samurai brushes your sleeve, he may wash his hands twice. If you pass too close to a magistrate's gate, a guard might ask you to take the long way around. You do. Always, you do not protest. You bow lower, you keep walking. A life in the margins. Your home is simple. 2 rooms, earthen floors, a few utensils, straw bedding. But it is tidy. You sweep daily. You keep your tools in careful order. Your children are taught to work quietly and to speak with humility. At night, you boil rice. You listen to the sounds of the town just beyond your reach. Flutes, laughter, footsteps returning from a festival you were not invited to. You do not interrupt. You prepare for another day. Another hide to cure. Another drum to bind. Another fire to stoke. Pride without recognition. Some Burakumin carry a deep knowledge, crafts passed through generations. You may know how to tan leather without cracking, or how to shape a taiko drum with perfect resonance, or how to guide a funeral procession without pause, even when the mourners avert their eyes. You are not empty. You are not broken. You are simply unseen. The rain falls on everyone. When it rains, it does not choose. Your roof leaks in the same places each season. The road outside turns to mud, but you walk it anyway, because the work must be done. The fires must be lit. The tasks others refuse must still be carried out. And when the task is finished, you bow, not for thanks, but because that is the rhythm of your world. A quiet legacy. The Burakumin would not be widely acknowledged until long after the Edo period ended. Even in modern times, their descendants have faced discrimination, though much has changed. But in every city, there remains a trace, an old neighborhood near the edge, a craft passed down quietly, a story told in hushed tones. They built the drums that rang through festival nights. They cleaned the fields when storms left ruin. They handled what others turned from. And though history forgot their names, the world around them did not. It used their work, and then turned away. But tonight, we do not. Tonight, we remember their footsteps, their hands, their lives, not loud, but lasting.